Unpopular anime opinions. You have them, I have them, everyone has them. And though most of them can be categorized as trash, not worthy enough to put more time effort into it than a lol, you're wrong, there are actually a few ones out there that are qualified to have a small discussion about. And that is why today we are going over 5 unpopular opinions inside the anime community that are actually legit. It is okay to not watch a show because of its art style. Ever had this one friend you wanted to get into one specific anime that is too deep to understand for normal human beings, exceptionally good in every aspect, or something you could not live without, and then after showing them one tiny scene they decide to not give it a chance just because they don't like the art style? The first thing I wanna say is, I feel you. But on a second thought, it's totally reasonable. The way of how anime is presented visually has a major influence on our viewing experience, and if a specific art style, be it because it looks old, cartoony, or just ugly, makes you not wanna get started, then so be it. If there is something that anime fans don't have, aside romantic relationships, it is time. Time to watch this crapload of shows every season and time to keep up with all the ongoing shows, all while still trying to function in everyday normal life. And I bet that everyone watching this video is guilty of it one way or another. For example, I myself am a huge fan of Shuzo Oshimi's manga series Aku no Hana, but there's absolutely no way I'm watching the adaptation you see right here. People have been saying stuff like, well, the art style of the show was chosen to fit the dark and dirty themes of the setting, so you should give it a try. And I'm willing to believe that this is true. It still looks ugly though, so no thanks. I'd rather invest my time in telling people they should start watching One Piece, because fuck everything I just said. Well, actually, there's a reason why I'm mentioning this show specifically, because it suffers not only from people who don't want to watch it because of its art style, but also the second point we're going to now, which is that it is completely reasonable to not start a show because of its length. Especially when it comes to shows like, let's say, One Piece. There will always be someone who tells you that once you started it and catch up, you actually wish for it to be longer. I know this because I am that person. But in all seriousness, getting into long-running shows can be a huge commitment, and again, the biggest factor that plays into that is time. And if we only count time efficiency to get the most enjoyment out of a hobby like watching anime, there are definitely better ways than to sit through shows that range between 200 and over 1000 episodes. We have to accept that there are people out there who rather spend their time on shorter anime, which doesn't make them any less weak, with the luckiest of them being the ones who have enough time to just watch everything. Oh, how I envy you bastards. And though I stand by this opinion, I will still tell people to watch One Piece, and so should you, but be nice about it. Bad and mediocre shows are actually good. It sounds contradictory, yes, but there's a huge point to be made here. The shitty shows are helping us appreciating the good ones. Not only that, but what would the anime community be like if we wouldn't get any opportunity to shit on badly animated, badly directed, or just plain boring shows to connect with each other in our hate? Yeah, no need to answer this question. Just think about it like this. Your My Anime list wouldn't really look right if there weren't any 2 out of 10 shows between all the masterpieces and the fuckton of 7 out of 10 hentai. At the end of the day, the reason why we can distinguish a Fate from an X-Arm is because we are able to experience both. I'm deeply sorry for calling out the one X-Arm fan, but what are the chances they watch this video? So before you jump around the internet next time in an epic quest to call every show you don't like mid, think about how they help you to truly understand the value of your own favorites, and then go on Reddit and shit on them. Anime nowadays is better than in the early 2000s. The reason for this being such a huge topic might be the generation gap between anime watchers and the fact that nowadays there are just more shows in general. Back in the day, a normal anime season had around 10 to 20 shows coming out, so every banger that came with it got stuck in our heads until today. Now, how many new shows are we getting per season nowadays? I didn't fact check it, but I would say it is definitely around 50 to 60. Getting one really good show back then felt different than getting 3 to 5 good ones now, because the amount of mediocre anime did increase as well. That said, the ratio between good and bad shows that are coming out per year actually stayed pretty much the same, I'd say. And I don't even want to start talking about the nostalgia effect. But since taste differs and there are also solid points to be made about why shows back then actually might have been better in some aspects, we just go with it. And now to the last one. The 3-episode rule is bullshit. Or is it not? First off, let me explain this rule for everyone who might not know about it. There's this unspoken rule that most of us who start a new anime will give it at least 3 episodes as a chance to be labeled as good or enjoyable, until we otherwise just throw it onto the pile of dropped shows. And before you come at me, I wanna say that I do stick to this rule myself, but thinking about it, why would I keep watching a show if it doesn't manage to keep me engaged after the first episode? This is without a doubt the hardest point to get behind, because as one of my favorite shows being Steins Gate, I have to agree that the first few episodes episodes can be boring and that there are a lot of people out there who took more than one approach before they started loving it. On the other hand, I think it's totally understandable if someone quits after a boring first impression. Do we make that rule for ourselves because we know that many anime need time to get interesting, or are we just too impatient to appreciate slow build-ups? Because every other media teaches us that the very first impression is what counts to keep people engaged. This is hard to decide, because on one hand you could miss out on some great shows, but on the other it's not really your fault that there's a lack of entertainment. Funnily enough, I do follow this rule when it comes to anime and manga, but not on other media like YouTube, video games or music. But what do you guys think about this one? Do you just quit a show if it doesn't hit off directly from the start, or are you someone who is ready to endure it for a possible revelation? Let me know in the comments down below, and also feel free to put your own unpopular opinions down there as well. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more in the future. And as always, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, peace.